welcome back to the channel. Today once again we're revisiting the ISF. If you have a look at one of my previous videos, you'll notice that this corner where this horrible black piece is was all pushed in. It had a massive dent in there. Well, with use of the heat gun and pressure from behind, by me just pressing it with my hands, we've managed to get pretty much all of that out. There is the tiniest of dents there, but you can hardly feel it. And obviously I need to do something about that. That's the black plastic of the bumper. So, and these gouges here are quite deep, so I'm going to have to fill these. So the plan today is to clean all, first thing obviously we need to clean all this off, and then I'll put a very light coat of filler on these. We'll then sand. Well, I'll have to decide how much of this we sand. It'd be nice to kind of fade it into this good paint here and here without doing the whole of the bottom. And I've got some white primer. I've got some white base coat, and because this is a pearlescent paint, I've got a pearl coat that we need to put on as well. And then some top coat to make it nice and shiny. So anyway, we'll get on with the first job, which is to get this clean and clean all the schmutz off the bottom of the car. Right, so I've washed most of the crap off. I'm now going to have a go with some sandpaper. Well, it's more emery paper, let's be honest, it's wet and dry. This is 800 grit, which you should always use with water. So soak that in there, and then I'm going to rub this, get this as flat as I can, and I've got some ultra-fine body filler, some hardener, and how's this for posh? I've got a sheet of carbon fibre as my scraper for my filler. That's how we roll. So I'll go with the sanding, and we'll come back to this when I've got it smooth. Yeah, you can feel how rough they are, and then we can do a bit of filling. Okay, so let's be honest, 5 minutes of sanding later. These have all smoothed. I mean, you can still feel the gouge, but they haven't got raised edges anymore. And once again, we've noticed that manufacturers put very little paint on cars. This was immediately white when I started sanding it, which means there was next to no clear coat on it. And, you know, straight through into the plastic on some of these cut sharper areas, which obviously isn't an issue because we're going to paint this anyway. But it's a warning, you know, be very careful when you sand in your cars. Even if you're following these lovely videos on YouTube that say, oh yeah, you can colour sand your car, next thing you know, you're getting it down the paint shop. So, I'm going to put some filler on to fill these little gouge marks and smooth off the little divot that I can feel that you probably can't see. Now, car body filling is all about not putting hardly any on at all, because if you put too much on, you're going to spend hours and hours sanding it back off again. So much better to put what you think is not enough on and then have a feel, sand it flat and have a feel, put a bit more on. Otherwise you'll be here for hours. Right, so we've got some filler mixed up. They always say like a golf ball size to a pea of hardener. Well, I don't need anywhere near as much as a golf ball. So I've kind of guessed the ratio. If you put too much hardener in, all it means is it goes off a lot quicker than you expect. Usually takes about 20 minutes and it's rock hard. So now I'm going to put a thin scrape of filler over here, and then we'll see where we go. Okay, it's 20 minutes later, and the little coat of filler I put on is now hard. So it's sand again, and repeat this process until we get this nice and smooth and free of lumps and bumps and gouges. Right, so sanding ahoy. Okay, so we're all smoothed off. Yeah, it's nice and smooth now. I've covered up everything I can with polythene and tape, covered the wheel in a bin bag, and the first job to do is to get some primer on it. This is white primer. Where can we see it? There we go, white primer. So I need to mix this up so I can hear the little ball flapping around inside for a couple of minutes, and then we'll get a coat of white primer over this whole area. Right, so we're all primered up. I had to have a couple of goes due to my stupidity, because I touched the paint and left a fingerprint in it, and then I've had to wait for it to dry and then sand it off and then start again. Next step is to do the painting. So it's a two-step paint. There's number one, and there is can number two. So can number one, it's a Toyota colour, so it's a white pearl. So this is the white, which when I put it on will be very, very white, almost like the primer white. And then I'll just wait until that moped goes by. And then number two is the pearl coat, which will darken it up considerably. And this is the bit that's got all like little pearly bits in. So it's like a top coat with pearlescent bits in it. Once both of those have dried, we then go over the top with the clear, which is that black can. Now I'm going to have to adjust some of this masking, I think. I might move it back a little bit when I do the white, and then back quite a lot when I do the clear, because I'm trying to fade this into the existing paintwork, which is always a challenge, you know, especially for amateur idiots like me. So, you know, we're going to do the best job we can, but I'm trying to think of how I can best blend it in. So when you come back, I'll have probably moved this tape back a little bit, and we'll be going with the first coat, the white of the, you know, the base coat of the colour. Okay, that's the first coat of white on. Obviously now we can't see where the primer was, it's one colour. I have got a little blob of something here where the shadow of my finger is. Investigate that. Maybe when the white's dry I can knock that back and do it again. And it is running underneath. That's a bit of a pain. Right, I'll have to wipe that off and do it again. Right, I've just put some of the pearl on top. I've got rid of all this top stuff. I'm trying to fade it in as best I can, and it's fading in pretty well, to be honest. The paint does look a little more yellow than I expected, and I may end up doing this again. The paint's quite a lot whiter, the original colour, than what's appearing here, so I don't know if the base coat has gone off. I've had it quite a bit, but I'm going to continue because it's all good practice, and I'll leave this. I think I've got enough pearl on for now, and I'm going to have a go with the top coat, and then we can see what it looks like at the end. Well, so this is the final thing. This has got top coat on, and it's got quite a lot of top coat on, and it's quite a good match. It kind of went whiter as I top coated it, which was very weird. I personally still think it's a little bit yellower than the rest of it, but I don't think you can tell. You can't really see where the blend is on the side, and it's better than primer, which is what we had before. I think at some point, because of the stone chips, I'll end up having the front bumper taken off and painted anyway. In fact, I might even do it. So it kind of makes no difference, you know. It's a very nice car, but it's a 2011 car. You know, this is not a Maserati or a very expensive car. So I'm happy with the result for now. I think it could be better. That's mainly down to me and not being fastidious about filling every tiny. I've got little tiny lumps and bumps I can see through the finish if I kneel down and look at it, but no one's going to do that. I think for a on the driveway rattle can finish, and remember this is a 3-stage paint with a pearl in it, I think this is a pretty good result and shows you can do it if you want to. Don't be afraid. The worst that'll happen is you'll have to have a second go, and if you completely make a mess of it, you're only at this position where you would have had to have it painted anyway, so that's where you end up. So don't be afraid of trying this. Most of it is prep. In fact, nearly all of it's prep, and not putting too much paint on in one go. Gently does it, you know. Do a light coat. Oh no, I can still see the primer. Don't worry about it. You know, you're going to put 3 or 4 other coats on to cover that up. Do it slowly, and then you get a much better result. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please like, subscribe, ding the bell, all that good stuff, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Oh, a little PS at the end of the vid. See, I've taken the tape off. Looks great now. I'm not going to touch this now for at least a week. I've learned my lesson that if you polish these things too early, it never comes out the way you want it to. So I'm going to give the paint a good chance to let its gas off and harden the paint properly before I touch it with any compound or polish. Okay, see you in the next one.